rely on somebody else leading us through the agenda. I'll just try to run through it as efficiently as possible. It looks like we'll be skipping quite a few things. But if my memory serves me right, the first item is introductions, new members,
Yes.
all that good stuff.
Yes.
And I suppose the only two people who haven't met are Lee and Sam.
Yes. So, yeah, Sam and Lee have not met yet.
Nice to meet you. I'm Lee, and I'm in charge of the AWARE program grant writing.
Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm a part of the school support program.
Great. It's nice to have you on board.
Same, likewise.
That went pretty smoothly, with no hiccups. And then minutes of the last meeting.
All right, so just briefly going over the minutes for the last meeting. Hold on.
Did everybody get the minutes?
Everyone should have gotten the minutes.
Yeah.
So minutes from last meeting. Blake wasn't on the call, but we did talk briefly about the Harris Teeter Initiative, which is an initiative that Blake's going to try to work on in terms of getting us engaged with the checkout system, so that when someone goes and checks out at the cash register, they automatically ask if you want to donate money to UAA. So we talked briefly about that, and also about his involvement with retail stores, potentially standing out in front of those. We also talked about the action items which were completed, which were fundraising action items. The kit was completed, the school supplies, grants were done, operating was done, Christmas wishes, team goals were accomplished. So we went through those action items, fundraising updates. We talked about a few different success stories in terms of fundraising. Now that the kit's been finalized, mainly Jennifer talked about how she's created some landing pages and some GoFundMe pages that really help put the word out there for people who are more comfortable using the computer. We also talked about social media as a tool to use as well. Then we also talked about Trello. So Trello is something that now, thanks to you, Lee, actually, we've really started adopting this widely and getting more comfortable with it, and people have been really using it and say that it's working pretty well. It's a great organizing tool. So we just talked about our use of Trello, and if there were any questions, we addressed those. Then we talked about developing initiatives, and mainly those were the community outreach program that Blake and Victor were working on, and that's the retail stores piece of it, where we're going to partner up with those stores to see if we could stand outside and raise money there, or get a group of people who would stand outside, just like how they do with Salvation Army and a few other organizations. So that was a new initiative that we discussed briefly. Then we talked about grant writing updates. We talked about school supplies, and just kind of our progress on submitting the grants for May, which they were submitted for, I believe, each of those school supplies and operating. We talked briefly about Christmas wishes, and Christina joined us last week, and she's part of the Christmas wishes team. But she talked about how she had been sending sponsor letters to and letters of inquiry to 10 different organizations who would help out with either the gala, the sponsorship piece, or by donating toys. So she talked briefly about those things, and then we talked about a regular meeting schedule that needed to be set for the team, and also talking about getting Christina more in charge of the actual grant piece for also the program. And she's also been working with the sponsorship. So we talked about that. And then miscellaneous items, we talked about how Lee's wife is actually a consultant to a chocolate company whose representative is a board member of the World Cocoa Foundation. So that's a pretty neat network there that the other Lee is going to try to exploit, if you may. And then we also talked about Mr. Van Brule. Mr. Van Brule is a international scholar who's from Cote d'Ivoire, but he studied abroad in the United States. He's part of my International Alumni Exchange Network because I studied abroad through a state scholarship. So everyone who's ever studied abroad through their government scholarship kind of gets lumped in this network. And so this guy from Cote d'Ivoire, Mr. Van Brule, he reached out to me one time based on some of my experiences in education in terms of volunteering, and he actually works for the Ministry of Education for Cote d'Ivoire. So we've had some preliminary discussion kind of back and forth through email, and he's very interested in learning more about UAA and how he can help. He has the advantage of understanding English and French, and also kind of working closely with the government, but also working in the United States for a period of time. He is a teacher as well, so he seems like a pretty good lead to follow. So we actually just set up our Skype meeting. We had been talking back and forth. Yes, we set it up today. We had been talking back and forth about having a Skype meeting, and it will actually happen tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
What time tomorrow is it, Priyanka?
So it will be 5 p.m. GMT or 1 p.m. Eastern time. I had to make sure that it was appropriate times, etc.
Yeah.
But,
do you mind if I send you the information for our Aware guy in Cote d'Ivoire, and then maybe you can forward that to him and they can get into contact? Because that would be really helpful.
yes. So we also talked about that. Like, based on how this call goes, I'm going to kind of feel him out more, see what he's done, and tell him more about UA, and really just kind of have this discussion to see, is he still interested, and what does he have to offer? And then from there, we did actually talk about, Victor and I talked about it, and Jessica and I talked about it, putting him in touch with our Africa team down there. So we're going to see if we can do that.
Great.
That'll be cool. You said he works for the Ministry of Education?
He does. He does.
And he also teaches?
Hmm?
And does he also teach?
Yeah, he's a teacher. So I don't know if he currently teaches, but I know it was on his profile that he did teach at school.
Yeah, that'll be an awesome resource to have if we can get it on board.
Definitely. So those are the minutes. Who wants to motion to adopt the minutes?
Motion to adopt the minutes.
All right, minutes adopted. I guess we can move on.
Unless anybody has any questions. I take that to be a no. What's the next item on the agenda?
The next item is matching funds drive updates.
Matching funds drive update. Unfortunately, there isn't. I was hoping Lee was going to be here to tell us a little bit more. From my conversations with him, we don't have much of an update on that. Where things were, I don't know how much Lee knows about what we've done on the matching funds, but we spent quite a bit of time trying to put together a fundraising kit, and the idea was for people to have materials on hand to approach friends, family members, and acquaintances to get contributions in to meet the goal that we set for ourselves for the matching donation drive. I think the target we set for ourselves was to raise about $3,500 internally, and then look for individuals and organizations that will match either 1-to-1 or multiples like 2-to-1. And the ultimate target was to raise about $13,000. I think we've probably raised about $2,000 so far. Most of that from, there's one big donation from Lee A's friend, about $500. Board members put in, I think about 600, about $1,000. Um, Volunteers, including yourself, I think they put in maybe about $250. But in terms of volunteers reaching out and getting friends and family members to contribute, we haven't had much success on that so far. What Leah and I were discussing doing was just reaching out to people individually and seeing what they need help with, things like that. I'm meeting with a group of my friends next week, and I'm planning to have each of them contribute about $25. So that's that on my end. Unless there's other things happening that we don't know of, there isn't much moving in that direction. So we really need to push it a little harder and try to make the initiative successful. If I remember correctly, I think Sam indicated to me that he had had a little bit of success in talking to people. Maybe you have an update on what you've been able to do, Sam.
Sam?
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
I said, my question was if you have any update on what you've been able to do with the matching donation drives so far.
With the, sorry?
Fundraising?
About the fundraising. Okay, well, since the beginning of June, I've sent out to 23 proposals to potential donors, and they're all uploaded on Trello, and they are they're all awaiting response. So I followed up with. Sorry?
We're talking about the matching donation drive. Remember when Lee brought some fundraising kits to the meeting, the volunteer meeting about 2 weeks ago?
Oh, you mean from our personal networks?
Yeah, from our personal networks, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't get that. Well, it's a little bit difficult for me now, just because I'm in the U.S. and I'm pretty much based in Canada and back in Yemen, which is my home, and I don't have a Facebook. But the people I've contacted, some have said I'll get back to later, and I've contacted till now there were 7 people, and I've only gotten 1 positive feedback, but I don't have a confirmation on how much the amount is yet. But I'm hoping it will generate about $100 till now.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Great effort. So, you reached out to about 7 people total, you said?
For now.
Awesome. Anybody with any update on that?
So I reached out to, my mom always sends these emails to like all of us, and then she'll include her friends on it, and she'll always brag about like all of us meeting her kids. So I figured I would use that opportunity to ask people to donate to a cause I'm very passionate about. So earlier today, I emailed that whole list, which like includes 15 people on it. And I attached the brochure, and I told them a little bit about what I do with UA, and I said, any amount helps, but, I gave the little spiel about how $33 helps put a kid in school for a year and all of that stuff. So I'm looking to hear back from them, and already one of my mom's friends was like, oh, wow, this is so great. I didn't even know you were doing this. I definitely want to help out here. So, I'm hopefully looking for some more positive feedback there. I know I did reach out to my dad. I'm going to bug him again to make sure he actually does donate, like he said he was going to. So, I have had some success when it comes to family and friends.
Awesome. Now, that's a really ballsy move. with your mom's networks.
Yeah, she does. She basically sends people emails like, every week.
Yeah.
On like updates in her life and her kids, and she'll like include some pictures. So.
It's pretty cool. Where is she? Is she in Florida?
She's in Florida.
She's in Florida.
Yeah.
So, well, if you're gonna brag about me, Let me tell you what to do.
Yeah.
That's what. Um, I know. I don't know if Lee has, if you've followed all the email trails we've sent back and forth with the fundraising kits, but if you need to get updated, we can maybe send you some of the kit and discuss it offline somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't looked at all of them. Um, yeah, but I did see that the other lead sent the kit and everything, so I'll have to look through that carefully.
Yeah, maybe I'll send you some emails afterwards just to bring you up to speed on where things are.
I don't know. I don't think I emailed you guys about this. I emailed Bao and Jessica about adding something to the thank you letter, just like a footnote with some legal language, so that people who make donations of over $250, they have to have a certain language in there so they
Yeah,
can deduct that money from their taxes. So I asked them to add that to the thank you letter, because it's good just to have it, even if people are donating less than 250. But I don't know. Do you know if it includes it or not?
I don't think so. I don't think they've included it yet.
I haven't
Okay, I'll
seen a
have to
thank
look
you
at
letter. Yeah.
that. Sorry?
I said I haven't seen a thank you letter.
Oh, yeah. I know Val sent me a version a while ago, but I don't know. I don't think that's the most up-to-date version because after he sent me that, Jessica went through and kind of restructured the accounting team. So I don't know if they redid the thank you. I'll have to check my emails and see. But
You guys actually should have received thank you letters from the accounting team for the
I never
contribution.
received anything.
You never received anything from them? Yeah, I'll forward you the. I mean, you can now that the UAA Foundation Ordino is working, you can maybe send an email to Shah because she usually responds to if you reach out to her and see what she has to feel about that. If you make the suggestion, I'm sure she'll run it by Jessica. I didn't see any reason why Jessica would say no. It's just a matter of just putting just a couple of lines at the bottom of the letter with tax ID number, right? It's that simple. So I'd suggest send them an email again just to remind them because I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
What's next on our agenda?
All right. So next, we have Christmas wishes event updates. Obviously, that's Christina, and she's not able to join us. But I'm gonna just look in Trello really quick, and then also just update you based on what she's been doing and what I see here. All right. So, just as an FYI, the Christmas Wishes team consists of a few people, and we're kind of merged the two responsibilities together of the grant piece as well as the actual event piece. I kind of lumped them into one as the team kind of talks about all of them or addresses all of them, or they're part of the whole team. The main people who work on the grant writing piece and the sponsorship piece have really been myself on the front end, more so crafting the letters and the language for the applications, and then I've just had Christina actually do the research and the follow-up and the actual application submissions, so that I can focus mainly on my grants, and she's been doing more of those things, and she's done great. Like she mentioned last week, she reached out to about 10 or 11 different companies, and these are all companies like Fisher Price and the Lego Foundation, and she was basically telling us kind of her way of going about things. She would submit an application, and then on top of that, she would also reach out to local stores or local the local version of the organization. So if there's, let's say for example the Lego Foundation, she would try to find like a local service organization in the area. Like if there's a Lego representative in Maryland or a Lego office in Maryland, that's better language. But there's an office, a local office. And so she would contact them and talk to them and see if there's, okay, if you can't make a monetary donation, can you donate a gift card? Or can you donate supplies for our event in December? So she's trying to see if there's anything she can squeeze out of them, even if they can't donate money. And she's basically not going to rest until she gets something from them, which is good on her part. So that's kind of what she's been doing in her tactics, and she seems to be making some headway there. And obviously, when I reach back out to her and I meet up with her, and hopefully I'll hear some more positive news. But last week she was just telling us about how she's done her initial round of applications and follow up and call.
I thought I lost you for a second. So.
Oh no, I'm still here. Any questions?
I just have a question. I know Ariane, who's my coworker, she is also on the Christmas Wishes. She works with the grant writing for that as well. And is she part of your Trello group? Because I created a whole new board for her in specific. So I just wanted her to. Huh?
So no, she's not. I actually didn't know she was part of she was doing grants as well. But with that said, if we could get her on the Trello, on the board that's already been created, as long as her board isn't too full, if we could get her on our board and have her transfer that information there, that would be great.
Perfect. Okay, I'll let her know.
Great. Do you know what her username is? I could just invite her now.
It's Ariane. Wait, I can check it from here.
She's your co-worker?
Her username is Ariane, Ariane, space, Choupo, Choupo.
Ah, there she is. All right, so I've invited her to both the event team and to the grant writing team so she can just see what we've done so far. And that's good. So I'll just let her know. Just let her know that we've been working on some things too. If you want, you can give her my number.
Sure. Yeah, I've already guided her through Trello, so she should be familiar with using it.
Great. That way we can all see what we're doing, and we don't overlap or anything like that. And if she does something or someone else does something, we can kind of chart progress and know when we actually receive some kind of form of funding.
Sam? Sam, can you hear me?
I see Sam.
Oh, was that Sam? I'm sorry. I heard you say something. I wasn't sure it was my name.
Yeah. Did you say Ariane is your co-worker?
Sorry, she's a what?
You said Ariane is your co-worker.
I call her that just because she's with me in my office, even though we're not working on the same program, but yeah. Oh, you haven't met Ariane yet, right?
No.
I haven't either.
No.
Oh, so yeah, she is. She's been with UAA since, I think, May 20th, or around that date.
Yeah.
Oh.
Did you guys, did both of you join right about the same time?
I was a bit before she was. So yeah.
So you brought her to UAA. Did you bring her to UAA, Sam?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you bring her to UAA?
No, she came by herself. Jessica was the person in charge of it.
I see.
Yeah.
That's quite a coincidence. Did you guys both know about UAA before you both joined?
Not really. Actually, I found out about it through Volunteer Match because I was searching for different opportunities, and that's where I was introduced to UAA in the beginning.
Yeah. That's interesting that both of you were coming from the same office or the same. Cool. Yeah, I know you had an issue with Priyanka sending a proposal to an organization that you already sent a proposal to.
Yes, so I didn't know Arian was actually doing grants for Christmas wishes.
Yeah.
So I think there was one that was sent out, and I just used but it was Christina who had actually done the follow-up with Toys R Us, and someone had sent out a letter maybe yesterday, I think, to Toys R Us, but Christina's already made some contact there with the actual organization and also with the local group. So that's why, it's great that she's helping out, but it'd be even greater if we know, what each person is doing so that we're kind of on the same page and so that we don't resend letters or, we're kind of redoing each other's work.
Yeah, and about that in specific, I noticed there was a lot of overlapping that occurs. So, what if it was to do with different programs? Because I know there's not, I don't find there's good communication between us. Because today in the office, there's two, in total, we are 4 interns, aside from the accounting team. And everyone kept asking each other, oh, did you search for this company? Did you search for that company? To make sure that there was no overlapping. But when we're working on our own time, that sort of communication would be more difficult. So I was wondering if there's a way. Yeah. So are we supposed to resend things even if it's part of the same part, like different programs, or?
What do you mean by resend? So like resend it to the same organization?
I mean, if it was the school supplies and Christmas wishes, so they're different programs, but they're sent to the same organization. Should we also not overlap that, or would that be fine if we send 2 different proposals? Because they're different programs.
I think that's fine.
That's fine? Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's just it's when it's the same program. Like let's say I'm asking about Christmas wishes, and then tomorrow you ask about Christmas wishes. Then the organization gets 2 letters from us, and then they're confused as to who to reach out to.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's fine if it's different programs, and that's for people working on the same program. That's why it's important to use Trello. So even if we're working on our own time, as long as you're keeping an eye on what other people are doing on Trello, that way you don't duplicate what other people have already done, and that makes it a lot easier for everybody.
And I guess the only way to really know what's going on or really be in the know is for us to just talk to each other and to just obviously right now we're talking to each other and we're able to see that there is another person working on this or I submitted this the other day, so kind of keeping each other in the loop in terms of what we do, and if there is a new person on board, maybe Sam because you're in the office, but maybe we don't know because we're not necessarily in the office every day. So just in terms of at least the grant writing piece, I think, if there are new people involved, letting everybody else know that there's a new person. Like, hey, we have a new person doing this, or so-and-so is going to be doing this now.
Speaking of which, there is another person called Matt, and he is working on grant writing for Aware, specific. Oh. Yeah, and we have another intern who he just started today. Today was her first day. Her name is Rachel. And Matt was sort of guiding her through, I think she's working with Matt with the Aware grant writing because Jessica mentioned that it was a pretty big program, so she needed more people working on that specific. So yeah, those are the other 2, aside from Ariane and myself.
And you're mainly with school supplies, correct?
Me? Yeah.
Yeah.
How often do you go into the office, Sam?
I am in the office Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Same days as Ariane. Matt is going to be Tuesdays and Fridays. And Rachel is going to be, I think, only Mondays. Or she's only 1 day a week. I forgot what day she's going to do. Or Fridays. I'm not sure. She just started today. But
So there's somebody in the office pretty much every day.
You guys, sorry, I missed that last part. You guys stop it. I missed the last part. What did you say?
So I are those your dogs?
Yeah, sorry. They're trying to. One of them's trying to play with the other one. So Lola, go. Okay, hold on 1 second.
you can join the meeting. Yeah, I don't know if you used that question was directed at me or Sam.
Wait,
Okay,
what happened?
I'm back. Yeah, I would like to touch base with, you said Matt is his name, Matt and Rachel, to see like where they are and tell them what I have done in the past.
Sure. Matt, I can send you his email address. Not sure if I have it, but I'll check.
I can also ask, does Jessica have their emails? Or Victor, do you have their emails?
I didn't see an email, but I saw his number. So I reached out to Matt too because he was doing Christmas wishes.
Oh, okay. Did he switch to Aware? Or?
I'm not really sure what. I think he's just doing like a bunch.
Okay.
Because he told me that today was or yesterday was Christmas wishes. The day before that was school supplies, and then tomorrow or today, sorry, was going to be Aware, or next week was going to be Aware. So I think he's just doing a bunch.
Yeah, we could definitely use more people on Aware because the budget. So originally we were asking for something around between 50,000 to 70,000, you know, for those 3 years. But now the budget is 1.5 million almost. So it is a really big program.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of diluted up there.
Yeah, the important thing will be for everybody that's working on each program to be working in sync,
Yes.
not across from another. So I guess one thing we have to include as an action item is to figure out how to establish channels of communication between those of us who are not in the office and the people who are working inside the office. Because people who are in the office obviously will be able to do a lot more, but those of us who are not in the office, because we've been working on this for quite a while, we'll probably be able to guide them so they can do things a lot more efficiently.
Yeah.
Because there'll be a lot of replication going on. I suppose, Sam, you can be very helpful in facilitating that process. I don't know if you heard me.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part? The voice is really bad on this computer.
You can be helpful in facilitating the process of communication between us that are not in the office and the people who are working with you in the office.
Sure, definitely.
At least you can help us begin, at least open a lot of communication through you. And hopefully once it's better established, then things will go smoother.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. It's on almost right now.
So that's now my question, Priyanka, is do you know if Christina has done anything beyond the stuff she discussed with us last week?
I don't know. I have not
Okay.
been able to. I haven't seen anything updated in Trello, so I don't know. But she just texted me now. So let me let you know what she's saying. So she's busy at the moment, but she is available to meet for next week's meeting, Tuesday's meeting. So I'll definitely be able to catch up with her in person there, along with Sam, and you know I'll make sure that I get all the nitty-gritty details on what she's been doing. So yeah.
So at least we'll have an update by next Friday.
Yeah, if not sooner.
So what's next?
So the next thing is the grant writing updates piece. And the first thing we started off with is school supplies.
Yay!
Actually, sorry, do you guys mind if I go first? Because I actually have to leave at 8 o'clock.
Sure.
All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Aware.
Okay, so as you know, I've been on a hiatus, so I haven't been doing much. And actually, a big thing that I'm going to do this weekend, because luckily I have a lot of time this weekend, Like tomorrow is the first day in a long time that I actually don't have anything to do. So that's
Wow,
kind of nice.
that must feel good.
Yeah, so I'll have to look through my documents and get myself organized. Before, I took this little hiatus, the big thing I was working on was that federal grant, which was ridiculous. Like they wanted a lot of stuff, and if we do get the grant, we'll have to talk about it because we'll have to implement a lot of things. Like I had to write up a code of conduct, which basically just said, don't sexually harass any of the people we're trying to help. I had to write a security plan, so anyone who's going to Cote d'Ivoire to visit has to read that and follow that. It's also applicable to the people working in Cote d'Ivoire. So, but these things will probably be updated if we ever do implement them. I had to make like timesheets and all this stuff, so it took me a long time to do that grant, and it's going to take them a few months. I forget when the exact date is. I think it's in August. Wait, no, it has to be before August, but we'll see. We'll see if we get that grant. I think it's a long shot, but you never know.
Why do you think that?
Well, it seems like they're looking for a more established group. And actually, some of the things they asked for, we didn't have. Like, one of the things, they asked for the most recent external audit, and we don't have that. Like, we've never had an external audit that I'm aware of.
Yeah, we're in the process of getting one. We should have one. I spoke with the auditor today,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like at least within the next month we'll have one. We could get one as early as the next 2 weeks, but I'm looking at worst case scenario. We definitely should have one.
That's good going forward. For this grant, we didn't have it. But it just seems like from a lot of their material, it seemed like they were looking for a more established group. But, that's just my guess from what I've read. So it's not like it's a completely 100% thing. And then I had applied to a different grant that had gotten back to me. I had sent out it was a letter of inquiry, but they called it something else. They called it a pre-application notice. So they got back to me and they said they're opening, well, they hope to open things up to the full grant proposal next week. So then I'll be sending them the full grant proposal.
Now, let's revisit what used to be a monthly goal, which is to submit 10 LOIs or proposals each month. Do you guys still think we should make that our target, or are we more inclined to go for more quality over quantity?
Well, for this month, I definitely cannot make 10. I am going to aim, it's the 13th. Actually I'm going to aim for 4. I know this, I'm going to aim for 4 this month.
You aim for how many?
4.
Okay. And
I want to say something about that. Amount versus like the methods and things like that. So I've been kind of working with the grant writing team since February, and I've submitted quite a number of grants. I probably got stuck with one of the harder ones, the harder sell items, the operating, and so I've received, some rejections. I've received some where I just didn't get any kind of follow-up. I tried following up on many occasions, but then received no response. I've received some that said, at this time we're not going to do operating, but we are interested in your other programs, and I forwarded those on to, the appropriate contacts. But what I will say is as the months keep going on, and as I keep adding more in terms of, okay, I'm going to do 10 for this month. I'm going to do 5 for this month. I will say it is starting to get a lot to manage in terms of just following up with each organization. And what I wanted to do and what I ended up doing last month is I slowed it down a little bit because I really didn't want to miss any of them. There were a lot of different emails that we were using at the time. Like there were some that were sent, when I first started, I sent from my personal account, and then I was able to send from the share account, and then when we had our own emails, and then there was discussion to send it from the grants and policy email. So I kind of went through really weird transition in terms of where I was sending it from. And I started feeling like I was going to be losing out on a lot of the responses, or that they were going to start falling through the cracks. And so I decided in May I would slow down a little bit. And so I dropped the number from 10 to 5, just because I wanted to slow that down. And I wanted to make sure that I'm not doing all this work and I'm not sending out all these letters and all these proposals and all these reports and budgets to no avail, because I felt like I felt like I wasn't really getting anywhere, and that if I did get a response, it was only to tell me that, sorry, we don't do this. And so I did that, and because I did that and I was able to focus on, all right, I've got these 5 that I just really need to focus on to submit, and then I can follow up better on my April ones. I was able to actually get some headway with some of them in terms of actually speaking to somebody, getting some more information from them, getting some more of the requirements to see if we can really get this moving along. And so for some of them, I was able to have more full-length discussions. I was able to get a better understanding of what they're really looking for and how we can tailor our language to them, simply because I slowed it down a little bit more, and was able to manage it a little better. And again, that might just be because I work a full-time job, so I don't have all the time in the world to be contacting folks all day, and so I only have a allocated time to do that. But I did find it a lot easier to manage, and I found the responses that I was getting, and just in terms of the movement I was seeing, a lot better when I did slow it down and when I had less to worry about, and I was able to know the people I was talking to, because I could list them on my hands versus having so many to try to remember, go through on Trello and try to find the correspondence, etc.
So I guess what you determined by May was that 5 a month was a lot more manageable for you.
Yes.
And because it's more manageable, your process it seems to be becoming more effective for you.
Yes, because what you also have to remember is that in addition to the 5 each month, there's also the ones that I submitted last month that I follow up on. So it's almost so for example, in March, in April, the first 2 weeks was so hectic because not only did I have the 10 I did in February, but I had the 10 I did in March, and then I was trying to submit 10 in April, and so it was almost like I was running around trying to follow up with 30 people and make sure I wasn't missing out on communication from February. And I feel like I almost did miss out on like 1 or 2, like I saw it too late or something like that, even though the responses weren't necessarily leading to something like, here's some money. There was still some kind of response there, and I just felt like there was so much going on and so many email changes that it would be easier to lose, or for these opportunities to kind of slip through the cracks.
That's a good point, and it's also the case, keep in mind that you're getting some good responses, because some of those organizations that are asking you to send the IRS letters, that's really good progress. And I know from our discussion yesterday, we decided to focus on about 4 of them, and that's a good place to start. I know Lee has to leave soon.
Yeah, I was
I
just
think
about
what I heard from you is that you have the federal grant that you're working on currently.
Oh no, the federal grant's done. I finished that in early May.
So that's done.
Yeah, that was due May 15th or something. I was saying, yeah, it took me like a long time to do it.
So you actually did that. You completed that.
Yeah, that one was done.
And then another one just came up that they're going to open it up next week.
Yeah, well, I had already sent the letter of inquiry. That was back in late April that I sent the letter of inquiry. And they said that they would send me an email again next week when they started when they started accepting the full proposal.
Great. So is that going to count as one of your 4 that you're targeting for this month?
No, because I have other ones that I had been working on. Do you remember when I was waiting for the budget to be finished?
Yeah.
I had started working on other applications, but then once I got the budget, I had to devote all my time to the federal grant. So I actually have 3 kind of just waiting that won't take me long to get out. And then there's one short one that, I mean, they only give $1,000, but I figured that would be good for a one-off event, you know, like a soccer game or a conference in Cote d'Ivoire. So those are my 4 that I'm thinking of.
You're focusing on for this month.
Sorry?
So those are the 4 that you're planning to focus on for this month.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And do you have all that information on Trello?
No, I have it. My Trello isn't really updated. I have to go and update it and really make an effort to use it regularly, especially since there are other people that are going to be helping with Aware now. So.
Yeah. I think your action item will be at the very least update Trello with all your updated information.
Yeah.
And then walk through Sam to get in contact with those 2 other, I guess, Matt and Rachel.
Yeah, and actually, I can look at the email list. You know how we're supposed to update the email list every time we get volunteers? So if someone already put their emails, like whoever recruited them, I don't know, if whoever recruited them added their names already, I can check the email list and get their emails from there.
I haven't seen their names added yet, unless they.
Do
you know who recruited them?
Jessica probably.
Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
Okay,
so let's try to do that as quickly as possible. Get you in contact with them, invite them to Trello so that they can start putting stuff on your board.
Yeah.
If possible, just try to figure out a way to coordinate what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to talk to them so we can work out, the most efficient way to do things going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would definitely like to get in contact with them. Sam, I don't know if you know my email.
It is ly. Yeah, go on.
Okay, it's ly.bui.
ly.bui.
At UAA.
UAA/foundation.org.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think Sam said that Matt is in the office on Tuesdays and Fridays, and Rachel is in the office on Mondays.
Okay.
It's either Mondays or Fridays. I'm not sure, so I'll let you know.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay, I really have to go. It was good seeing you guys.
So good to see you.
Take care.
Yeah, I'll email you guys. Okay, bye.
Take care, bye.
All right. So what's next, Amanda?
Okay, so just to add on to the last thing that was said about getting in sync with all the new people. I know we have Ariane doing some Christmas wishes stuff too, and Matt has done some of that stuff too. So I guess when we do this kind of follow up and everything, include me on that as well.
Sure.
Or however we decide to do this.
You mean do what?
I guess if I want to talk to Matt and Ariane also and see what they've been working on.
Yeah, I suppose Sam, you can walk through Sam to make it happen.
Yeah, so I guess an email address or whatever.
Yeah, or call them in the office.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that might be your best bet. Email them, call them in the office, just figure out a way to get in contact with them. But it probably makes sense to at least get their email and invite them to Trello and then follow up with a phone call. Just to provide instructions how to make sure they upload all their materials to Trello, and then about how to manage the process going forward. Because that's a conversation Sam and I have already had, we kind of have an idea about how to manage the process going forward. What kind of information should be on trailer, what kind of attachments, if the MOI should be on the board, due dates and things like that. And so at least if you guys agree on if you agree on some kind of process, then things should be smoother going forward. But the important thing is to make that initial contact as quickly as possible.
Definitely.
And
And I guess
Priyanka, you mentioned that I should CC you as well, even for the propositions that I have.
if it's Christmas wishes, if it's not, then it's not really necessary.
Okay. Okay.
So school supplies, I'll leave it up to Matt. I've found two organizations so far for June. Good 360, which um, Christina also, I believe, contacted for Christmas wishes. So she mentioned it last week, and I reached out to her and gave her the login information for the website because I already signed up on behalf of GIA. So she's going to look into on their website and see what she can find. I have another one which I can't even quite remember the name now, but it's on Trailer. So those are my two for June so far. I know we've gone way past the 10 that we're planning for June. So I'll leave it up to Sam because Sam has been doing most of the work. If Sam will give us an update.
Sam?
Yes.
So yeah, do you want to give us an update on the school supplies regarding what you've done?
Okay. So besides updating these Excel spreadsheet, I searched for different grant opportunities on the grant station and on my own terms, which were focused on companies that have investments on Ivory Coast in order to increase the incentive for their contributions. And since the beginning of June, I've sent out 23 proposals to potential donors, which were uploaded on Trello. And I followed up with companies that have given some sort of feedback, either directly by them or through an automated message. So, but I still need to go through that. The rest, I've given a week deadline, which was an advice I got from Victor. And I need to catch up on some other companies that I've not yet followed up with, which are a bit more than a week. And till now, I'm continuing grant search on the school support program. And today, I found a really good opportunity for operational support with Archer Daniels Midland, which is, although they do highlight promoting agricultural development, so I just thought maybe we can mention that I gave this to Jessica and I mentioned to her that we should probably mention the word agriculture. So for example, promoting a healthy, safe agricultural environment in terms of the cocoa plantations through providing a safe environment for children by providing education or something like that. Just mentioning the keywords that they are highlighting, although they don't explicitly mention that only, I think it will bring more results from them. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. One of the buzzwords that they use is sustainable agriculture.
Yeah.
And one of the ideas we've been playing around with is to tie the idea of sustainable communities or sustainable farming communities as a necessary component of sustainable farming techniques. So there's a way to create some kind of synergy in there that can give us a leeway of insight. So we have a function on Trello where if you go to the operating expenses page board, there's a board in there. What's the name of that board? Is it called UA Volunteer Suggestions?
Yeah, so it's called UA Volunteer Team Suggestions.
Yeah. So if you find something for a different team, you just go onto their board and you just put that information in there.
Yeah, and if you want to do it, that's great. Just put it in there, and then that's how we can kind of That's how I can know, oh, okay, cool. So Sam found an operational one, and he went ahead and submitted information there. So that, oh, cool, I have someone who did that.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Sam?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a function on those boards that allows you to notify other team members. Is that
Yes,
the case?
there is.
Yeah.
So all the way on the right, there's a sidebar. It's a menu, and
Yeah.
then usually it's hidden, but you can just show sidebar on the right, and then you can add members to each one.
I see.
So what I'll do, I don't know if I've added Sam to the operating one. I might have though. Let me just verify. I have. So Sam is added to the operating.
Okay.
So that way you can go in there and just drop that information in there. So 23 LOIs for June already. And you're going to start following up on the ones from May in a few days from now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And some of those suggestions that I sent to you, have you been able to implement some of them, or you're working on that?
I've been able to do that from the ones that I started with after the conversation we've had, but
Okay.
I just need to go back and redo them for the previous ones.
Yeah. Awesome job, Sam.
All right. Anything else for school supplies?
I think, well, for school supplies, and I discussed this with Sam already, we're planning to talk to Mita, who's the project manager on the ground, on Sunday, just to get a better sense of what we're trying to do with the 2014 program, and to better define the program beyond 2014. So Sam hopefully is going to be on that conversation. I'm hoping Lee will be on the conversation, and Vanessa is the one facilitating the conversation because she'll be able to translate English to French and vice versa. So we'll be able to give everybody an update on that next Friday.
All right.
So that's it for school supplies.
Hold on. I'm typing notes as we're doing this meeting so that I can just send them out afterwards. Okay, so for operating, I dedicated some time today. Victor, I really thank you for calling me last night. You motivated me to really push a little harder, so I made sure I dedicated a few hours today when I had some free time during like the lunch hours and stuff to really following up with some of my organizations. And so I have some updates. For June, I already have one that's been submitted and one that I'm currently working on. The one that I'm currently working on requires a resume and bio of all relevant key players in the organization. And so I'm going to have to compile that. I know we have something similar to that Jennifer put together for a report before, so I think I was going to use that as kind of the base for this bio. But the main thing that it really wants to also highlight is just the entrepreneurial spirit of the organization, especially the founder. So I might have questions even for Jessica, maybe some follow-up questions on just the entrepreneurial aspect of UAA, because they do fund organizations like ours, operational expenses and project expenses, but they like to fund organizations that are startup or organizations that are very much in the infancy of their tenure, so between 1 and 4 years old. So I felt UA was perfect for this because we are still very much in our infancy, and they love being able to help out with organizations like that. So this is going to require a little bit more in terms of the actual content I sent to them, but it is part of their application, so I can just look at this as part of the overall grant application for this organization. So I'm going to be working on that over the next week and asking any questions I need to ask of people so I can really put together this page of our bios. Now, in terms of my follow-up for the May and the April,
Just a quick comment. If you
Yes.
need resumes, if you remember, you submitted a resume with the application way back.
yes.
There's a folder in the office with people's resumes. So if there's any resumes you need, you can just talk to Jessica about it and reach out to somebody in the office, maybe scan it and just email it to you or something like that.
Sounds great.
And the bios are all over the place. There's a lot of the reports that Jennifer did recently have the bios in them, so you can access the bios in it. Just so you know.
No, but that's really good. I can get just someone to like send it to me.
That way you don't have to take a trip all the way to the office just to get it.
Or that. All right, in terms of my other organizations, I'll start with the one that's actually going to send us an application. The Clark Winch Cole Foundation is going to actually be sending an application to us, addressing it to me, but they're going to send it to our DC office. And now the reason they're sending it to our DC office, which I am aware that there's someone that does pick up the mail there, so I would ask for Sam, since you're on the call, and obviously I'll put it in the notes, but for people who are in the office, if you see an application from the Clark Winch Cole, and again I'll make an announcement, but if you see an application, just to let me know so that I can either pick it up or someone can scan it to me or whatever. But they have to send it to the DC-based office because they are mandated in their charter to help out organizations that directly have an impact in DC or have a DC-based location. So I had to give them the DC address.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we're still eligible. Because we weren't sure that. So we're eligible. Because
yeah, I talked to her. I said, yes, we reach people in the DC area. I had to, kind of convince her a little bit, and I was like, we have an office in Maryland, we have people there, but we also, have a presence in DC, et cetera, et cetera. I had to ply her a little bit, but
awesome.
She said she'll go ahead and send us one.
Great.
Yes, so she said the entire process for that, by the way, she said would take anywhere between 2 to 4 months. So
4 months.
In terms of processing and getting everything like in order, just the way that they do it on their end. So once I submit the app, then it takes 2 to 4 months on their end.
Great.
All right, so that's the one. That's one. Let's see. Then also just going down, Eugene B. Casey Foundation needs the items mailed. And in fact, a lot of the organizations that I had submitted emails to in May and a few in April, they actually need they need a letter mailed to them with the budget and with background information. So that's something that I guess is new. It isn't something I've done before, but they want, so after following up with them, they told me that they need these items mailed, and that's the Eugene B. Casey, the Elsie and Marvin, the Charles Delmar. So a lot of them want you to physically mail the application or the letter to them.
So we have to start putting together mail packages?
Yes.
About that, I've actually had the same issue, like the same requirements for whatever applications I've sent out. They also mentioned a lot of them have requested a IRS 990 form.
Yes.
And yes, I'm not sure where that is. I've asked people in the office, and it's been circulating around, but no one gave me a response yet. And
so is the IRS form we currently have not applicable?
Okay.
No, I'm asking. Is it not applicable?
I am not sure, because every time I ask, someone would say, oh, just send out the mail as it is, and if it's a positive response, they will just reply and ask for the official documents. But some of them just, they mention that you have to send these specific documents or we will not review your application. So I wasn't able to proceed.
Well, I have a copy of the IRS letter.
Okay, do you mind forwarding that?
No, that's different from the RS 990.
Is
Oh.
it?
I think you have the letter of determination, the letter that says that we're recognized as a 501c3. Is that the one you have, Priyanka?
Yeah, let me take a look and see what I have here, what it says.
Letter of determination.
Because I've been sending that out
Yeah.
to the ones that asked for the IRS letter.
Yeah. Well, that's the
It says, I mean, it's IRS. It has our employer identification number. It has our date of registration. It says Form 990 required, yes. I don't know if that means this is a 990 though.
I think a 990 is some kind of tax.
It says letter 947. I don't know if that means anything either, because it also has some letters after it. But at the top it says the EIN number. It has a contact person. It has a number. It has the public charity status, and then it says Form 990 required, and it says yes.
990 has something to do with filing your taxes.
Okay.
I believe it's probably the nonprofit equivalent of like a W-2 or some kind of form that you file taxes with, one of those IRS things. So the best person to ask, Sam, will be Jessica. Have you asked her about it, Sam?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She said I should just keep that on hold for now. And I don't know why. That's all she said. And she just said I should proceed with sending whatever we have now. And if we get a response, we will get a response.
Okay.
So we don't have a 990?
I don't think we have a 990. That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe someone should call that number that's on that original the original tax identification form, the original IRS letter that gives our status.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that is because on that letter it says like Form 990 required, and it says yes, and then it has a contact name and a number. So I feel like if anyone would know if we have one or if there is one for us, that the person who actually made the letter and put that on there would know.
Yeah. We might want to suggest that to the accounting department.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to the accounting department and we'll see what we can do. I'll talk to Jessica and I'll talk to the accounting department.
All right, I'm gonna put that as an action item.
Yeah. That'll be awesome. So, about you're expecting an application from one organization, and you're going to be mailing packages to about 4 of them. And then there's 2 new ones that you're just initiating contact with this month.
So to give you a number amount, let me give you a number. But yes, there's one that is sending their application to us. And then to give you the actual number, I've already completed one. One I'm in the process of completing. I have to submit bios and the resumes. And then I'm going to be sending our information to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to do 5 packages in the mail, and I am going to receive 1 package in the mail. So that's a 6th one, and the 7th one is the bios and the resumes, which is submitted entirely online, by the way, as attachments. So that's 7.
Do you need any help with the mailing the package? Because if you need anything at all, you can reach out to somebody in the office to see if we can help you out.
Yeah. So do we have how should I go about doing that? What have you done, Sam?
I'm sorry. In terms of?
In terms of mailing, do you just get your own envelopes and
Uh,
mail?
yeah, in terms of mailing, some of them have online applications, so I've done a few of those. Some I've sent out purely through email, and today I remember I did 2 envelopes, one to be sent out to Switzerland, the other to Texas, but they're still being processed because we're still waiting for a colored inquiry letter to be printed out, so before it's sent out. So that was for today. I'm not 100% sure, but they're all stated in Trello, whether they were sent out by mail, email, or on online application.
So when you mail it out, what do you include?
There is a brochure, not a brochure. There was a. Well, I remember there's the school supplies booklet that was printed by Jennifer, and there was Jessica today gave me a sort of a package that describes Aware's different programs with a brochure with I forgot exactly what was in that. So it's those two, plus an inquiry letter, and one of them mentioned they wanted a statement of a 501c3 organization, proof of that, so I printed out that paper, and I included that with the mail. For the other one, I'm just waiting for the inquiry letter to be printed out in color. So
just what I've been sending out in terms of my email, I sent out the 501c3 status. I'll send out my letter of inquiry. I'll send out the budget, and then I've sent out the reports just so they can see what we do as an organization for Christmas wishes and for school supplies. I don't think I have the report for Aware, but maybe I just need to look harder for that.
Yeah, can you create an action item to remind me to get somebody to put all of these reports together and call it an annual report?
An annual report?
Yeah, because I think we should just combine all these different reports and call it an annual report. Some organizations ask for annual reports. So I guess, Priyanka, if you need help mailing that stuff out, but you probably should try to have it all mailed out before Friday, before our next meeting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the good thing is all of these places that I'm applying to are local, so they're all in Maryland or DC. Yeah. In fact, one of them is even it's like 5 seconds, or it's like a minute away from the office.
In Gaithersburg?
Yeah, it's in Gaithersburg. It's on Frederick Avenue.
Well, you might just have somebody put together a package and walk over there.
Yeah, I almost want to do that.
Yeah,
but yes, I mean, I followed up. I pretty much left, if I didn't talk to someone directly, I left them a voicemail. And I gave them my number, or I talked with their secretary, and I asked them to give a call back. I really tried to make sure I would get to the key people or be able to leave a message with the key people, whether this is the president of the organization or the person who handles grants. I really pushed a little bit harder this time, and I did get some responses. People did call back, and people did say mail the items or whatever. So I'm feeling a little bit better about a few things in terms of actually receiving some feedback, and I'm going to push really hard to see if we can get something.
It takes a while, but we're starting to get some traction, and part of the process is beginning to see what's working. Like what you were saying about when we started out with 10 a month, and then you making that slight adjustment to 5 a month, and being able to follow up on the previous ones more effectively. That's part of the process. We'll just keep learning as we go on. But we're starting to get some traction, we're starting to get responses, and the next thing that's going to start happening is we'll start getting some clicks. But we're getting there. And we're like 3-4 months into the process, so we just have to be patient and just keep doing a lot more of what we're doing. So good work.
All right.
Doing a lot of follow-ups and three more to do for June. And we still got plenty of time. So what's next on the agenda?
New fundraising and grant writing initiatives.
Yeah, that's. I was hoping Blake was going to be on to talk about that. Uh, we started working on what I talked about last week, which is he started contacting retail locations, and we just created a job description to try to recruit people to go out and set up tables with us. Blake and I talked about doing like an experimental deployment where the two of us will go out and set up a table and just see what that looks like. We'll probably do that sometime next week. So he's reaching out to retail locations and trying to get permission to come set up tables. So we've set that process in motion. There's two key things we have to have. We have to recruit the people, and we have to get a permission from the locations. So those are two things we're working on currently, and we should have an update on that by next Friday.
So he's going to schedule a presence for us there.
Yeah, that's what he's working on that right now. And the idea is to schedule as many places as possible. So hopefully, as we recruit people, we have a lot of potential places where people can go to. But as soon as possible, hopefully next week, him and I will go out for a couple of hours and just see how it works. And that way we can start replicating that with other people.
All right, and then the next thing is operating expenses, Victor and Lee.
Operating expenses, yeah. I think I mentioned to you yesterday about something that Lee was going to discuss with his daughter about a grant that his daughter's nonprofit got to help them. Yeah, I was hoping he was going to have dinner with his daughter yesterday, and I was hoping he'll have some feedback for us by today. Unfortunately, he's not here. And the other thing I was going to talk about was something that you and I emailed back and forth about earlier today, which is trying to add language in our LOIs that indicate the benefits of volunteering for people who are volunteering with UAA. So we're using your language. Jessica asked me to just send what I have. So I sent the language that you sent me this morning, included that in the operational expenses letter, and I think some people in the office must have been working with that today. That's my assumption.
I will tell you that the Clark Winchcole one is very much about that whole thing that we discussed with the community service leadership of youth thing. So they liked what we did, but she wanted to know directly how it affected people in DC. Yeah. And so I really talked to her about how young people get to do this and that. And obviously you saw my brief paragraph kind of hitting on that. But this will be an application, and maybe I'll work closely with you on this since you've done some work there too. But this will be one that we want to kind of make sure we nail, because she seemed interested in what we did and how we kind of use our volunteers in a way to develop their skills and their leadership. So yeah.
Yeah, we can. I guess I'll find the website on Triller on that card that you created for them, because I can go check out their website and see what I can find.
Yeah, put it on Trello.
Yeah, cool. You have anything else?
The only miscellaneous items.
Does anybody have anything else they wanted to add? Sam, any words of wisdom? I don't think Sam overhears me. Sam, do you have anything you want to add?
Just about the operating expenses, Jessica did mention that it was a bit tight. So I was wondering, in order to increase operational, this I'll add on Trello on the suggestions as well. So in order to increase operational support funding for the office, I was thinking maybe we should use funding for the school support to use either like 1 to 5% of the grant towards the operating costs for the office, and explicitly mention that we run purely on a team of volunteer effort in terms of the office itself. And
Yeah.
this will not apply for organizations that do not approve of funding for operations, because some of them do mention that as well. So just an idea.
So you're gonna add it to your school supplies?
Sorry?
You're thinking of adding it to the ones that are relevant, but you're thinking of adding the operational budget to the school supplies program then? A little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah. For the ones that don't cancel it out, so yeah.
It's kind of already there. If you look at the breakdown of the budget of the 62,000 that you're spending out, a chunk of that is operating expenses already. So the school supplies budget already takes care of that. And organizations expect that a certain percentage will go into what they call overhead. They just want to make sure that the overhead relative to the money that goes towards the program isn't too high, the ratio. They typically want you to keep it less than 10%. So that's a good idea. Just keep working on it. So I guess we can move a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Yes.
Anybody second?
Motion. All right. And when's our next meeting? Next Friday?
Next Friday, same time, 7 p.m.
All right.
And
Sounds
hopefully,
good, guys. I will send the minutes out.
awesome. I'll be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, I just finished, so I'll send them out now.
Thanks for joining us, Sam. Have a good night.
Thanks. Have a good night, everyone.
You too. Good night.
Sam,
Yeah.
I'll touch base with you over the weekend about Sunday. Hopefully, sometime tomorrow. But is 8 o'clock going to work for you? 9 o'clock on Sunday?
Yes, you mentioned Sunday at 8 o'clock to 9, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sure. I can do that.
That's 8 a.m. Not p.m.
It's 8 a.m. sharp?
Yeah.
So 8 a.m. Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's on the same Google Hangout, right?
Yeah, we will hang out.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. I'll confirm that tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Good night, guys.
All right. Good night.
All right, good night.